Welcome to our lesson on an introduction to cloud computing, this phenomenon that seems to have taken the world by storm and is becoming increasingly popular as we constantly see how it becomes the leading trend each year and the place where all the corporates are running because that's where the money's been made. So lots of great opportunities in cloud computing. But in a way, what's happened is cloud computing has made computing and many of the things that we traditionally would have purchased into a utility. What does that mean? Well, when you think of utilities, we think of things like water and electricity, etc., telephone services. They're things that you tend to, you don't own an electrical plant, you don't own a water reservoir. What you do is you purchase these things, you purchase them as you use them. It's a pay-as-you-go type system. So the more electricity you use, the more you pay. And it's basically piped into your home. And that's exactly what's starting to happen with technology and the applications that we use. So in the past, we would tend to purchase the application, especially when it comes to office type applications like a word processor or a spreadsheet or whatever the application may be. We would purchase that and install it on our computer. So it was something that you owned, you had a license to, and it sat on your own device. But now what's happening with the cloud is that these applications are hosted in the cloud. And they essentially are beamed to us and we pay as we use them, or we pay monthly for them. So there are providers like Microsoft that'll have Office 365 and you can get then access to all the Office products, whether it be Microsoft PowerPoint or Microsoft Word or Microsoft Outlook for your email, etc. And many providers are doing this. And so what's happened is the entire model has changed. And obviously from the vendor's perspective, this is very exciting because it's so much better to be able to sell you something every single month than it is just once off. But there's also a lot of value in it for the customer. We as the customer who are using these products might say, well, why would I want this? Well, typically the prices are far lower, so you don't have a big outlay to pay for a piece of software. But then there are other benefits that they're always up to date. That software is always up to date. You don't have to download it and get a new update every time it happens because you're running it in the cloud servers. It's always up to date. Additionally, it doesn't really make a difference what machine you're running it on. If you're running on a Mac or you're running on a PC, it makes no difference. And thirdly is you can access it wherever you like. Any device, wherever you happen to be, you can get access to your utilities that you have purchased in the cloud. So cloud computing has definitely become much more of a utility. And so what does it mean? It means that there are huge opportunities for corporates to sell products and to get what's called annuity income. So where they get customers who constantly buy their products, also making it harder, as we'll see later, for people to switch. And obviously it means us as the customers have much more benefits. It's ease of installation, it's ease of updates, and obviously, generally speaking, over a period of time, hopefully the pricing is better for us as well. So you need to think about that and what does it mean? Does this mean that cloud computing as a utility and all the applications that have become utilities is a good thing, or is it not? Is this just really leveraging the power of big corporates to make more money out of people? Because at the end of the day, you're going to be paying weekly, monthly, annually, over and over again. Or are there true benefits in this? And these are the types of things that we need to think about as we consider the future and where cloud computing is headed. The next question is, well, how can it be free? Often what happens is a lot of the products, and let's take an example of a backup product. A very powerful backup product is Dropbox. Dropbox essentially syncs what's sitting on your local hard drive and stores copies of it up in the cloud. Other examples would be Google Drive, does a similar type of thing. A lot of these products are free. In fact, not only backup products, Google offers a whole range of products, Office products that are free, like their Google Docs, which is their word processor, Google Sheets, and many others. Now the question then arises, well, how can it be free? There's a famous saying that there's no such thing as a free lunch. If something's free, there's typically a catch. Someone offers you something free, there's normally some sort of catch, because ultimately someone has to pay. Someone has to pay for the servers that are running all of these apps that we also seem to be getting for free. So how can it be free? Where is the money made? Well, typically what happens is the new model in the past, you would simply have to purchase the piece of software that you wanted. Now what's happened is you are being hooked in slowly. So normally what happens is you're given a taste of what is possible. Let's take, for example, something like Dropbox, which is the backup synchronization software. So you can use it. You can start to synchronize your files. But very quickly you'll find that you've hit their limit, whatever their limit may be, and they do often increase it, whether it's 500 megs or 1 gig of free storage. All of a sudden you hit that limit. And now they come back and say, well, you need to pay if you want to get more storage. And now you've started to see how useful this product is. And so you pay. And now once you've started to pay, all of a sudden you hit the 5 gig limit. And so you need to pay more. And maybe you hit the 10 gig and the 20 gig limit, and on it goes. And each time you're having to pay more. And then you're thinking about, well, is there a cheaper option? But now the difficulty of switching also becomes a little bit of a problem, because now you're going to have to run all those backups again, all that uploaded data. And so, yes, there is a lot of benefit in the free, and that allows you to try, but also it is a very clever marketing technique to let people try their products, see how they work, and hopefully then get buy-in to the products, and that they then want to continue to use them. Now, when we use these cloud services, they're great and many are free, and even the ones that aren't free, we need to be very careful of some of the legal implications. In the past, everything we purchased was installed and sat on our own computers, and that's fine. Let's take a look at some of the fine print, the small text that we don't often see from a big company called Box, which does a similar thing to Dropbox. It offers offsite backups and storage. So it says this: in no event will Box, its affiliates, officers, employees, agents, suppliers, etc., be liable for any indirect, incidental, special, punitive, cover, or consequential damages. And you might say, what the heck? Well, essentially what they're saying is, yes, we are going to store your data. We are going to store it on our servers, and we're going to encrypt it, and we're going to do what we can to keep it safe. But you know what it's like. This is sitting out there somewhere. It's not really the cloud, is it? It's sitting on a server somewhere, and any server is potentially hackable. We hear about it all the time when some server gets hacked and data and passwords and credit card numbers are released. So you as an individual or an organization who has your content sitting on a server out there somewhere which is not directly in your control, what these organizations are saying is we are not liable for what may happen. So maybe you had some trade secrets that are stolen, or maybe it's credit card information, customer information, whatever it may be, anything, whether it is indirect to what you were storing, these companies are saying we are not responsible. So that's something to be aware of. There's not going to be any recourse going back to those companies. They're saying you gave it to us, we did our best, but sorry about that. Google Drive says this: it may not immediately delete residual copies from our active servers and may not remove information from our backup service. What's that saying? Oh, again, in the fine print, they're saying, well, let's say you delete something, you have to get rid of it, you delete it off your own local drive because of whatever reason, maybe you needed to get rid of it. It's syncing to Google Drive's backup into their cloud storage array. They're saying, well, it may not immediately disappear, and in fact, it may never totally disappear. So they're just warning you that when things are put in the cloud, and this is a general warning we should always realize, nothing really or truly disappears. Dropbox and their backup service, the right to suspend or end the service at any time at our discretion without notice. Wow. So here you have Dropbox. They're running your backup for you. You've got all your content sitting out there, terabytes of content potentially, and one day they just turn it off. Bang, just like that, without any notice, and up to them. Now, typically a company wouldn't do this, but maybe there's a reason. Maybe something they didn't like what you were doing, they were suspicious about you as a company, as an individual, or whatever it may be, they can terminate. And so once we start moving all our content out into the cloud, there are implications. So just to talk about that Dropbox example a little bit more, Dropbox, as many of these other services do, offer you an ability to not only store your content online, but to essentially store it in a way that when you look at your local drive, only some of the content is physically on your local drive and some of it is stored in the cloud. Now, this is great because it gives you more space. Dropbox calls this Smart Sync. So if I'm browsing my local drive, some of the folders and the files are physically located on my drive. But I can't keep all of those photos and videos and presentations that I have on my local drive. So I can see them, they're listed, but they have a little cloud symbol next to them, indicating that they're not here, they're actually stored in Dropbox's servers. And if I click on one of them, they'll be downloaded. So that's great. So every time I need one, I can see it there. I click it and it comes from Dropbox's servers down to my local hard drive. So a great way of optimizing your storage, not having to keep everything, but still being able to see what you have until one day a service like Dropbox says, we've cut you off. Or maybe they don't, they get hacked or something happens. So these are the risks of using online cloud services. So the cloud can deliver a whole range of services. And during the course of our sessions, we're going to be having a look at the types of services they offer, because it's not just software as a service, which is a category we've been talking about at the moment, which is SaaS, it's called SaaS, software as a service, things like backup services or potentially office products, etc., etc. There are other services that can also be offered, things like platform as a service. That's your platform that you're going to be working on. That includes your operating system, etc. And even infrastructure as a service. You could be renting everything from the cloud, including the actual servers that your company runs from. So there are a whole range of servers, and these are called our cloud service models. So we have 3 models: software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. And we'll have a look at those in more detail in a future session. But there's also a range of ways in which the cloud can be arranged. So besides the servers, there are deployment options. So the classic is what is called your public cloud. So when you make use of Dropbox, or when you make use of Microsoft services, when you make use of Google services, any of those, you essentially are using public cloud, which basically means they've got their servers somewhere, everyone's accessing the same servers, and we share them, and life is great. And this normally works pretty well for an individual. But as an organization, you may have sensitive data that you actually do not want on the public cloud for some of the reasons we've already seen. You're worried about them being hacked, you're worried about that they're not totally under your own control, etc. So there are other options. One of those is private cloud, which essentially uses the same technologies that we use for running public cloud, but you run it on the organization's own servers. So then the organization's own IT people will have full access and control of those servers, but everyone in the organization, when they're accessing the apps and the content, will be accessing from their private servers. Now, obviously, that's expensive. It means that you need special servers, you need people to run these things. So another option is to go for hybrid cloud, which is essentially a combination where maybe your sensitive type information, financial information, etc., possibly is stored on the private cloud servers, but then maybe mail information or some of the other types of things that you consider to be not as critical are on a public cloud server. Community servers are servers that are put together normally to bring together a range of people who have a similar need. So it could be a group of universities, it could be some research people, it could be some non-profit organizations that all work together on one particular server that is linked to them. So that is a community server. It could be a community server that's set up for a group of businesses, etc. A similar thing to a private server, except it doesn't serve only one organization. So these are the types of things we need to think about. If you are becoming an expert in these things, you need to talk about these things. You need to understand both the deployment options that are available and the types of services that are on offer. So when it comes to the cloud, there is a lot that is possible, and increasingly things are moving to the cloud. Understanding how these things work is very important. And so it's not surprising that we are seeing the cloud wars, because the cloud is the next huge frontier, as I said earlier. The cloud is where everyone is moving. The cloud is where business is making a lot of money. It's a thing that's pushed companies like Microsoft right up to the top to become the most, if not one of the most valuable companies in the world because of their cloud offerings. And so it's about the cloud. Amazon Web Service, their cloud offerings have made them a lot of money. And again, all of these companies that we're seeing here, IBM, Salesforce, SAP, Google, Oracle, all have huge cloud offerings. Why? Because if you've got the infrastructure, you've got the people, you've got the software, think what I said earlier, you are locking in people, you are locking them in to long contracts, because once they've moved their data into your cloud environment, they're not that keen to move out. And so it's a great thing to try and move people in. So this is the new frontier. The old frontier was maybe the battle between a Microsoft and Mac OS. So are you a Mac person or a Microsoft person? As I said earlier, once you start using cloud products, it doesn't actually really matter. So where's the new war taking place? Well, which cloud environment are you going to be running everything? Are you going to have all your stuff in a Microsoft cloud environment? So you are running Microsoft Office 365, or are you going with the Google environment, or are you deploying on Amazon Web Servers? And where are you putting all your content? And so big cloud wars happening, very exciting opportunities for those who are studying and learning how to deploy and work in the cloud. So that's an introduction to cloud computing and where it's all headed.